do what Ben wants to do and how Ben wants to do it. Our job is putting every player in position to make plays. So there are changes with terminology, how we're calling things, which has been an adjustment for Ben, and he's been great and really learning it, doing really well with it. And I think he, has adapted easily, just like we all knew that he would. But the answer to your question, that is our job. Matchups are how you win football games. Ben starts with the quarterback. What does he do well? What does he like? What does he see? What is good to his eye in the passing game? And then we build off that.
Matt Canada, the new offensive coordinator of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Randy Fichtner out. Matt Canada in with some pretty clear directives on what he needs to do, or it will be blame Canada. Are you familiar with that?
I am. I am familiar with that. Yeah, no, you're not an old timer for that. That's South Park. Is that South Park? Is that what
that was the movie?
Oh, that
was the movie. No, not Team America World Police. It was the South Park movie.
I thought
bigger,
so.
louder, and uncut.
Right.
Actually,
well, there's shows I always thought from. Yeah.
I recall the Academy Awards. The year after that movie came out, They did a whole Blame Canada production with Robin Williams, I think. Check it out on YouTube, kids, but not now. Wait until the show's over. But I think Robin Williams sang Blame Canada with, thousands of performers to open or at some point during the Oscars.
I vaguely remember. I'll check that out, old timer. Okay, I'll check it out. No
That's
problem.
Not that long ago.
I know,
That's in the last 20 years.
It was. I remember it,
22.
so I can't say it's that old. Yes, I remember it.
So, Canada said, among other things, yesterday that Mr. Rooney, and look, in kind of a low-key but not really way, Art Rooney runs that frickin' team. He calls the shots, baby. If somebody's getting fired, he's making the decision. Defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator, Rooney's the man. Rooney's the man in the draft room. They made that clear before the draft this year. Art Rooney runs that team, and Art Rooney told Matt Canada, clear directive, we have to be able to run the ball this year. And as Jerome Bettis told Ed Bouchette last season, I've mentioned it several times because it rung true with me, it's a commitment that has to begin as early as possible.
Definitely.
And it has to be adhered to all year long. You can't deviate. You can't waver. You can't have a quarterback who's changing out the play because he wants to throw a 4-yard pass. You've got to establish yourself as brutes. You can't have those guys going backward. Even that on that play, what kind of blocking is that? I know it's a draw play, but you want to see the guys firing off the ball. You don't want to see them going back. You want to see them going forward. It's a fundamentally different skill set. You want guys bashing the opposing player in the face with a legal hit, of course.
Yeah.
But you want to see overpowering with brute physical force.
Yeah, no, you don't see any of that. I mean, look at the clips we show here. There's free people every time. There's missed blocks. There's no movement on the line of scrimmage. None of the clips. We just showed, 4 running plays in a row? We never saw the defense go backward in any of them. And, to what you said, you're exactly right. It is an attitude that starts really as early as possible, but mainly it's going to start in training camp. And any team that I was ever on that was a good running football team, that's really what it was about. It was like, hey, that first day of training camp, we're not in pads, but we're going to this is going to be our bread and butter, these running plays. We're going to be good at these 5 running plays. That's what we know. And it starts there, and then that first day you put on the pads, you start to realize, whoa, there's a real emphasis. We've run 96 power king, 6 out of 15 plays in a team period. And, the other 9 plays out of those, 5 of them were runs. So, yes, it is about that attitude. And they lost their way last year with attitude, always being in pass sets. It's hard to create that when you're like this 50 times a game and you're never really firing off or getting to assert yourself that way. So that's where it starts. Mr. Rooney, hey, it's the family business. He knows what wins football games. He sees that damn defense he's got, right, Mike? And that's where it makes no sense with the way they played last year. You talk about, team football, complementary football. For that defense they have there, it makes no sense to be a high-octane, we're going to throw the ball 50 times a game type of offense.
And of all years, the offensive line seems experimental at best.
Yeah.
This year, especially with Marquise Pouncey retired, new center. How big of a deal is that, though? When you're trying to improve on the stuff that we saw in those clips of some bad blocking and some lack of commitment to the run. How much harder is it to do that when you're going through these changes? And it's not just Marquise Pouncey. Matt Filer's gone. He went to the Chargers. Alejandro Villanueva, he was a free agent. They showed no interest in bringing him back. But Pouncey's the key here. What's the biggest challenge when you've got a quarterback who's pushing 40, who's got to deal with his first new center in over a decade?
Well, I think the first thing is, like, continuity is the biggest thing. So, yeah, it's going to be new guys. But like we saw last year, I think one of the huge things that hurt them is of course, the injuries. It was a big part of it. The fact that they kind of had to move around people and do that type of stuff, I think that was a little bit of why they morph into this, like, wait, this guy's not used to pulling or blocking down and doing this and doing some of these run game things. So let's just err on, hey, let's pass and let Ben figure it out. I think that was the start of it. So that would be the big thing to me, is just the continuity between the five. And, yeah, you got a little bit of some unproven commodities on their roster to a degree. Does the rookie they drafted, from Illinois in the 3rd or 4th round, does he play and do that? He's certainly NFL ready. But to me, that's really where it stands. Again, is just getting that base of attitude. Here's our core plays, and let's find the right mix of the five to where everybody, it's our best five, and they're all playing in a position they're comfortable, and then you can really build something off a run game, and you can start to run plays where you go, the defense knows what we're running, and they still can't stop it. And that's the good running teams I've been a part of.
Yeah, Kendrick Green, one of the options,
right.
B.J. Finney, J.C. Hassenauer, and also floating around on the depth chart for the Steelers. But they got to get that figured out, and they're hoping, they're projecting, they're choosing to view the glass as half full, but it may end up being half empty. And if that offensive line doesn't get it done, now maybe Najee Harris is good enough that he's going to get his yards even without blocking, but it's not like he did it without blocking at Alabama.
No, but he is a between the tackles runner. He can make people miss in short areas and do that, and he has real size. Like, he was a tough eval for me. He was not my favorite because, I guess lack of speed and things like that concerned me. But, the Steelers' attitude, something they like, and he does bring a physical element to their team, to what we're talking about, to where they're listening to Mr. Rooney. And, to everything you're saying, too, with, like, the glass half full approach and all those things, I think they look at it like we've talked about a lot, that if they can do some of those things, Big Ben will look a lot better than what he was towards the end of last year, too, because it'll take some pressure off of him.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.